On the 1st of December today, we remember Saint Edmund Campion and Saint Eligius. Let us listen to a short biography on each of their lives. Edmund Campion was born in London on January 25, 1540. He was raised as a Catholic and had such a powerful and flamboyant intellect that at the age of only 17, he was made a junior fellow at St. John's College of Oxford University. On visiting the university, Queen Elizabeth I was so taken by Edmund's brilliance, as were a few of her dignitaries, that she bid him to ask for anything that he wished. The exaltation and praise of so many fed his vanity and eventually led him away from his Catholic faith. He took the oath of supremacy and acknowledged the Queen as head of the Church. He also became an Anglican deacon. However, his brilliant intellect and his conscience would not allow him to be reconciled to the idea of Anglicanism for too long. After staying a period of time in Dublin, he turned back to his Catholic faith and returned to England. At this point, he was suspected of being too Catholic and was shaken when he witnessed the trial of a soon-to-be martyr. It carried him to the conviction that his vocation was to minister to the Catholic faithful in England who were being persecuted. He also felt the call to convert Protestants. He set off to Rome barefoot, and in 1573 he entered the Society of Jesus. He was ordained in 1578 and had a vision in which the Virgin Mary foretold him of his martyrdom. When he returned to England, he made an immediate impression, winning many converts. On July 17, 1581, he was betrayed by one of the faithful who knew his whereabouts and was thrown into prison. The Queen offered him all manner of riches if he would forsake his loyalty to the Pope, but he refused. After spending some time in the Tower of London, he was sentenced to death by hanging, drawing, and quartering. His martyrdom in Tyburn on December 1, 1581, sparked off a wave of conversions to Catholicism. He was canonized by Pope Paul VI in 1970. The other saint we remember today, Saint Eligius, was born near Limoges in France around 590 AD to Roman parents. At a young age, his father recognized that his son had an unusual talent and sent him to the famous goldsmith Abbo, who was the master of the mint at Limoges. Later on, Eligius went on to work at Neustria. From there he was recommended to Clotaire II, king of Neustria, who commissioned him to craft a throne of gold adorned with precious stones for him. The honesty of the saint impressed the king, and he was rewarded by being appointed as master of the mint at Marseille, and by being taken into the royal household. After Clotaire II's death, the new king, Dagobert, appointed Eligius to be the king's chief counselor. Eligius eventually became so well known that ambassadors paid their respects to him before going on to see the king. The charitable and honest Eligius took advantage of his status to obtain alms for the poor and to ransom Roman, Gallic, Saxon, and Moorish captives who were arriving at Marseille daily. He was able to get the king's approval to send his servants through towns and villages in order to take down and bury the bodies of the criminals, whose bodies were executed and displayed as further punishment. He founded several monasteries to which he introduced, at least partially, the Irish monastic rule. He also built the Basilica of St. Paul and restored the Basilica of St. Martial in Paris. In honor of the relics of Saint Martin of Tours, the national saint of the Franks, he had several churches built. He did the same thing for Saint Denis, whom the king had taken as a patron saint. At court, Eligius and his friend Dado lived a life that followed the Irish monastic rule, introduced into Gaul by Saint Columbanus. When King Dagobert died, Queen Nunthilde took the throne. At this time, Eligius and Dado left the court and entered the priesthood. When Acarius, the bishop of Noyon-Tournai, died on May 13, 640, the clergy and people unanimously made Eligius his successor. Because the majority of his diocese was pagan, Eligius undertook the conversion of the Flemings, Antwerpians, Frisians, Suevi, and the barbarian tribes along the coast. When the body of Saint Quentin was discovered, Bishop Eligius had a church built in honor of the saint. Adjoined to the church was a monastery under the Irish rule, typical of Eligius' rule. The bodies of Saint Pietus and companions were also discovered during his episcopacy, as well as the remains of Saint Forsay, the celebrated Irish missionary who died in 650 AD. Eligius died on December 1st, 660, and was buried at Noyon. Saint Eligius is the patron of goldsmiths, blacksmiths, and all metal workers. Taxi drivers have also put themselves under his protection. Having heard about the lives of these inspiring saints, let us endeavor to imitate their values in our own lives, place our petitions before them, and all together say, Saint Edmund Campion and Saint Eligius, pray for us.